What's up, Sailor Venus? How are you? Good to see you. I'm going to do something today that's not really something I enjoy doing, or something I've avoided up until this point. But I suppose we're going to have to get decently good at it if we want to get some projects out. I suppose coming here in the early morning would also be better, but there's a lot of runners and stuff in the morning too. We also don't have the mic hooked up because we're going to use it elsewhere, so gonna have to remind me to speak into the camera. What's up, Voodoo Cowboy? Welcome in. This actually wouldn't be a bad spot if it wasn't so dang windy. We're praying for a bench down here. We might actually have to go a little bit further up the river. Keep going up the river. This guy is feeding the birds. You're definitely not supposed to feed the birds. That's okay. Who are we to judge? Yeah, we may have to come back sometime in the morning, or just hang out until nighttime maybe. I don't know. Sit there and record that way maybe. How's everyone doing? Doing well today? Hope so. We do have benches. Nice. Now it's getting an angle right. It's also very windy right here. This will have to do though. How far would we want to set up though? We have to set up like right here. Okay. Guess I can keep you all pointed at the sky tree, eh? Let's do it like this. This here. And this. This can go here. Please slide in. They really make these slightly. They made these slightly different. That's really annoying. Same company, same brand, just a little bit different, eh? You still live, chat? You still there? What's up, Yerim? Long time no see. How are you, my dude? I'm alright. No complaints. Trying to film something today. I hate filming while streaming. It's a little bit hazukashi, a little bit embarrassing, but I gotta get some of this stuff out, so. Just gonna have to suck it up, I suppose. Glad I bought my other tripod today, because original tripod would not have survived. Really got to make sure nothing blows away today. Ooh, that's right. You got a DSLR? Nah, not quite. I mean, I do have a DSLR, but this is not what we're recording this time with. I pray to the SD card. Oh, thank God. I was like, there's a small chance I left an SD card, or all my SD cards. Luckily, we got the Souse. Is that how the kids call it nowadays? No, I've had a DSLR before, but I don't like the weight of a DSLR. But it's so windy. I have a heavier camera, and I used to use that. But yeah, whenever I start, that's a big tree. Some would even say it touches the sky. That's my one dad joke. Is that one mirrorless then? DSLRs are mirrorless by like standard. This would probably be that. Yes. I would have to check. You can check it out if you want. It's the Sony ZV-E10. The reason I got this is because most of the time, if I'm not shooting far away, even shooting far away, this is fine. I need to get a different lens, but this combo is incredibly good for low lights and like tracking, facial tracking, especially in movement. So whenever I got this camera, so we're gonna test some footage real quick. Let's see how that plays back. Oh, you know what? I need to go to settings. Can you keep positive? I have an annual appointment for my cat early tomorrow, so I gotta go to bed. Thanks very much, Adam. Have a good stream. Thank you. Take care. Mirrorless means you don't have an optical viewfinder. No, because my last one had a viewfinder. And that was considered mirrorless. The GH5. Micro Four Thirds mirrorless. This one does not have a viewfinder. I gotta look something up real quick. Doing a time lapse? No, I'm doing a. I mean, that would be cool, but no, it's a bit windy actually. I kind of want to move. It's too late. Too late to move. We're where we're at. Testing out different. So much better. We don't want to deal with that. All right, now turn around. Looking at over here, we're still looking at that. I don't know if I'm gonna want. How are we gonna want to do this? Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to record a video, but shy to talk about stuff on camera and stream. Y'all are gonna roast me for my YouTube intro. What's your YouTube intro? Promenade is going to get more full. Well, luckily we walked quite a ways down. Well, no, it's not a full YouTube. I mean, you guys are just gonna riff on my what I'm gonna talk about, because I'm gonna monologue for, I don't know, 10 minutes straight. I have to do a couple different takes. You'll probably hear me say, "Ah, shit, not that," you know. I'll go back and forth on it. That's right. If I can get the two monologues I want to get out. Oh no, I'm not worried about other people. I'm worried about you all. Other people are strangers. I don't care about strangers. I will never see them again. They will never see me again. Okay. Also very windy. For the audience? No, it's different when stream is listening. No. When stream is listening, because stream can listen to it later. It's like, oh, stream's gonna hear it and then they're gonna see it, and then it's like the whole thing. It's like behind the scenes. No. Obviously it's for the audience. Not worried about that at all. Alright. Make sure I have no... So anyway, if I convince myself, if I can get the two little monologues I want to get done today, I'll go buy that expensive ass sandwich. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Sensei Martian, joining you from the Sumida River in Asakusa, Taitoku in Tokyo. Today is April 16th, and tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary of when I left to go walk across Japan, tip to tip, from Sata Misaki down in the bottom, Cape Sata, all the way up to Cape Soya in Hokkaido. And I realized that I never got around to properly introducing myself, how I came to Japan, why I did this walk, and it's all kind of a little bit small world, but I never wanted originally to create content. That's why I'm not super great at documenting things as well as other people, but I realized that I wanted to share my story. But back to the beginnings. So a couple years ago, in this very neighborhood, I met a gentleman called Lyle Forever. On the internet, you may know him as Therapy Gecko, and I was in Shibuya at the time, and I saw him streaming, and I thought it would be cool. I'm a big fan. I'd love to meet up with him and meet him, shake his hand, get a picture, that type of thing. Alright, that was a good start, but the angle's a little bit high. I wonder if we lower it. want to check the audio? Yeah, that's why I'm checking this. I can't play back the audio with this, but that's why I have a couple of pretty good sound screens on this, or wind screens, I suppose. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Sensei Martian joining you from Asakusa, the Sumida River in Asakusa, right over that way. And this is Skytree, obviously. And today is April 16th, which marks almost a year to the day that I left to go walk across Japan. I walked from Satamisaki, Cape Sata, all the way up to Cape Soya, Hokkaido. Took 169 days, and I made some shorts from it, or Instagram reels, and I realized I never properly introduced myself, how I got started in streaming or content creation, and how I came to Japan and things like that. So I've been living in Japan for a little over 9 years now. I came to Japan March 17th, 2016. I left Oklahoma on March 16th, and one-way ticket. I didn't have anything planned, no job lined up. Was always a little bit worried. I didn't do a lot of research, but I checked online about all of these horror stories of companies and contracts and things going south. So I thought, well, if I get a job somewhere, I want to physically meet who I'll be working with. And so whenever I came here, I didn't really have anything planned. I had about $2,000 in a credit card, and from that time, I knew I just wanted to get out and explore. I'm from Western Oklahoma, and I traveled a lot in the U.S., but I didn't get a chance to go and see outside of the U.S. very often. So I wanted to go somewhere completely new to me, and I originally wanted to kind of hop through Asia. I wanted to go to Japan, and then go to Vietnam, and then end up in Thailand. I wanted to teach English and play poker online. I had this kind of pipe dream of doing that, but after I arrived in Japan, I realized I don't have enough money to do that, and I vastly overestimated how far money goes. I was 22 at the time, so perhaps a little naive, but I came to Japan and I just started working. I applied for a ton of English teaching jobs. I had a degree. I was able to get I explained in the cover letter the situation, and some companies offered to help. Did that for a year. During that same time, I networked a little bit, and I got to teach at the government, the Zaimsho, the Ministry of Finance. I taught group lessons there every morning of the week, Monday through Friday. And then when both of those contracts were finished, they both finished. One finished in April, the other finished in May 2017. I thought, okay, I want to still teach English. I enjoy teaching English, but how do I get out of that kind of bubble, that cycle of, the Eikaiwa cycle? Anyone who's taught in Japan knows exactly what I'm talking about. And so I wanted to kind of get out of that, and I applied for a job to teach business English. And at the time, I was still pretty young, and there was a startup company, and I applied. They were looking for people in their 30s, 40s, 50s. I was not that, but I was able to secure an interview, did well in the interview, worked with them for a long time. So that's the TLDR of how I got here. a lot of people have been asking about how I started streaming. We're gonna cut that. We don't want to record too much, obviously. I'll have to re-listen to kind of just doing this off the top. I have like rough bullet points planned out, but it's not really like specific scripts. So a lot of people have been asking me how I got started with streaming or content creation or things like that. And the honest question is just a happy accident. I was fortunate enough in this very neighborhood to meet someone called Lyle Forever. You may know him as Therapy Gecko online. And about 2.5 years ago, I was in Shibuya at the time, watching him stream. Saw he was in, I've been a fan of his for a while, saw he was in Asakusa, which is about a 40-minute train ride. And I didn't watch a lot of streaming at the time. And so I sent a message in his chat and said, hey, would love to get a picture if that's possible. Because he came to Tokyo for a live show, like a comedy show. And I was not able to attend that because I had other winter holiday plans. And so I asked for a picture. He said, sure, come on, but you got to do an interview. Now at the time I was I had, social medias, but I was not interested or involved in any form of content up to that point. And normally his guests, street guests run 5-10 minutes, but I was able to talk to him for like an hour and 15 minutes. Very awesome encounter. His community was very supportive, and based on that, that's why I started getting into streaming. During COVID, I was in Japan, and during that time I packed on some pounds and packed on some weight and got really kind of, what's that called, cabin fever, so to speak. I was very cooped up all the time, and Lyle came just after COVID ended, or things were starting to warm up and were open up again, and so I thought, okay, well, walking around with him and kind of talking about Tokyo and Japan was pretty cool. Maybe I could do that, get some steps in, just get healthy. That was my original goal. And funnily enough, whenever I started watching, after that I started watching more streams, and I was fortunate enough to become friends with the next individual, Dave Bull, Japanese printmaking, Moku Hankan. He has been making woodblock prints in Japan for almost 40 years now. And at the time I was watching his stream, and someone mentioned this book, The Roads to Sato, a 2,000-mile walk through Japan, Alan Booth. And I ended up buying that book, as you can see right there, March 2023. And when I read the book, initially, when I started reading the book, I thought, okay, this is just a book about a guy walking across Japan, and it wasn't really speaking to me. And about a third of the way through the book, he mentioned something about living in Japan for most of his adult life, being about 30 years old, and I was 30 years old. I had been living in Japan most of my adult life, and I thought, okay, now there's kind of an equalizer. I didn't really relate to his background or even a lot of his opinions on Japan. He is a little bit more of a glass half empty kind of guy. I'm a little bit more of a glass half full kind of guy. So I didn't relate to a lot of his opinions, but then I started reading it, okay, like, here is this guy. I've always thought of people, YouTubers or creators or celebrities as people who are better than me. But here was this guy who was kind of complaining, and he was the same as me. He was the same age and similar situation. So I thought that would be really cool to walk across Japan, but it's impossible. There's no way I could possibly do that. I do work remotely, but it never crossed my mind to do a through hike or a backpacking trip across Japan. It didn't even seem feasible. But I started crunching the numbers. I had saved during COVID. My general rule is to save 10% of my annual salary as travel money. I didn't get to travel for a few years, so I had some funds saved up. But I thought, okay, even at 25 kilometers a day, it's 120 days. I am severely out of shape, and there's no way I could possibly do that. So I spent that summer walking a lot in Tokyo and getting some practice in. I thought, okay, what if I just pick a direction and go? And then that's when I found the old Tokaido route, Kyū-Tokaido, Nihonbashi to Sanjo Ohashi, Tokyo to Kyoto. It was around 500 kilometers. So I thought, okay, that'd take me about a month, give or take. And so I was able to do most of it. Some of the paths had been washed away by landslide or rain. And then toward the end, I injured myself around Nagoya. And so I did end up slightly, I think I took a 5-kilometer bus one day, and then the next day I took like a 5 or 6 kilometer train. And the last 2 days I did walk it all. But I did right there around Tsuchiga Toge. And the bus was very interesting because the gentleman waited for me. Like I was a good 200 meters away from the bus stop, but he waited for me, and then I felt really bad because, but that was my test trip. Okay, if I can do this for 25 days, I can do it for 125 days. Was my original goal, original plan. And so whenever I went down last year, April 16th, I flew down to Kagoshima, and then April 17th, I started the trip. Whenever I started the trip, I again thought, okay, every day 25-ish. But unfortunately, the first day ended up being closer to 40. Severely underestimating both vending machine or supermarkets availability. I had done some research down in that area, but I really wanted it to be an adventure. I wanted it to be something that I could experience at that moment. If it was super planned out, every day planned out, it wouldn't have been the same. So the first night, I come in very late. I had to call a couple times to tell them I am coming for dinner, I'm just going to be late. And I remember I walked around 60,000 steps, and I was just donezo. I was not prepared for that. And around that time, I was thinking, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? But it was day one. I couldn't give up on day one. That would be ridiculous. So, we're going to cut these into smaller videos. What's up, JP? Yeah, someone said, wow, that's a tall tree. And I said, yeah, some would say it even touches the sky. Well, what's going to happen too is I'm going to go home and look at this footage, and then I'm going to be like, I need to go tomorrow morning and record something different. But I just realized I needed to get out and start. I don't want to do this very often where I'm recording YouTube while stream is running, but I wasn't going to get it done. One of the things was not going to get done until later, regardless. So I was like, okay, we might have to do better. Right now, there's not really anything to like put stream at. I could have brought another tripod, but I didn't want to deal with that, so. I think I'm gonna maybe take that from the top again. No, I don't mind the peanuts in the gallery. So a lot of people ask me, Sensei Martian, how did you get started in content creation? And the answer is just accidentally. I had no intention to ever make content. I enjoyed being anonymous quite a lot. Enjoyed just existing on the internet, not in a public platform, just watching. And so, funnily enough, in this exact neighborhood, about 2.5 years ago, there was a gentleman who was streaming IRL at the time. He came to Japan to do a live show, and that gentleman is Lyle Forever. You may know him as the Therapy Gecko. He'll come back into the story later, but at the time I was, and still now, I'm a huge fan of Lyle's, and I saw that he was streaming in Asakusa. I was in Shibuya. I was eating Taco Bell in Shibuya, which is about 40 minutes away. I knew that he had a live show coming up. He had posted on his Instagram, live show in Tokyo, December 22nd. But I had travel plans already booked. I was going to go see my older brother, so I knew I couldn't go to the show. So I messaged in the chat, hey, I'm in Tokyo, can't come to your live show, can I get a picture? And he said, sure, but you got to do an interview. Now, I was expecting a 5 to 10 minute interview. Having watched his streams before, having watched his call-in guests, I thought, okay, 5 to 10 minutes, let's see what I got. Unfortunately, whatever you want to decide, it lasted about 1 hour and 15 minutes on stream. Significantly longer than I had or Lyle probably intended to do, but he and I just vibed, had a good time, ended stream. After stream, I took him to his next spot, and during that time I saw, he was this person with 1 million Instagram followers, but he's just a guy. And for a long time I was thought to be a YouTuber or a big streamer or anything like that. You had to be more. And obviously I love Lyle, he's a good friend now. But at the time it was kind of like, oh, this is just a person, just like me. And based on that experience, I started streaming a little bit, but I also started watching other streamers. And one of the streams I'd been watching throughout the years was David Bull, Japanese printmaking. Mr. Bull has been making prints in Japan for almost 40 years, and his shop was closed during COVID, but I'd been buying them online, giving them as gifts, and so I've been watching his stream, and in one of those streams, just casually, someone mentions a book called The Roads to Sata, a 2,000-mile walk through Japan, written by the late Alan Booth. He passed away in the early 90s. And someone said, oh yeah, Road to Sata, like they just casually mentioned it. And I thought, I'll check that out. I'll buy it. It was like 1,600 yen or something. And I started reading it, and in the beginning I had no connection to the book. This gentleman's from the UK. I'd never been to the UK. He's kind of a glass half empty kind of guy. I'm a bit more of a glass half full kind of guy. And then about third way through the book, he says something along the lines of, I'm 30 years old. I've been living in Japan, for 7 years, most of my adult life. Of course, I can use chopsticks. Of course, I can eat sushi. And I thought, hey, I'm 30 years old. I've been living in Japan most of my adult life. Maybe, this guy, again, kind of like with Lyle before, he's a human too. He's published this massively popular book, probably one of the more popular books about Japan travel, and he's just a guy like me. Now granted, he did it in 1977, far different circumstances, far different situation, but he was 30, I was 30. Post-COVID, I still hadn't done anything really outside. I wanted to get back out and I wanted to do something. And so that summer I thought, okay, it would be cool, but it's impossible. I can't walk across Japan. There's no way. So during the summer, I gradually started working 10,000 steps a day, 15,000 steps a day, 20,000 steps a day. And I start looking and I go, well, that's 15, 20 kilometers. Some days 30,000 steps. And I go, that's pretty far. That's, for working in the morning, walking in the afternoon, working in the evening, going back home to my apartment in Tokyo. What if I just pick a direction and go that direction? And for some of you that have been around for quite a long time, this is what started the Tokaido project. I walked the old Tokaido from Tokyo to Kyoto. Nihonbashi to Sanjubawashi. It took 26 days. I got injured around Nagoya, and so I did do, one day I took a bus for about 5 kilometers, and then the day after that I took a train for about 5 kilometers. But 98% of that trip was walked, and so I thought, okay, that was pretty cool, and I really wanted to walk and experience the old Tokaido, not Highway 1, but the old, when they had it, the old Ichidatami, the stone paths, the cobblestone paths, going from that. And so that was successful. I did get injured. I tore one of my leg muscles, and the doctor said, don't do that again, dummy, like just take a chill pill. And so that ended in November 2023. November 26, 2023. Was injured, hurt, couldn't walk a lot, really, really hurt. And I thought, okay, well, I did it for 26 days. I can do it for 126 days. 25 kilometers a day, 125 days would get me 3,100-ish kilometers. Should be good enough for the trip. Now the problem is I was rehabbing, not really rehabbing, I just was not walking and stretching and doing compresses and stuff like that. And around that time I realized, okay, I just really want to do this. And I didn't have anything planned. I didn't want to, and I thought about making videos of it all, but I didn't have a big budget. It was just me. I had saved some money during COVID, and I enjoy streaming, but it wasn't making any money at the time. Still not really making money in the general scheme of things. But I thought, okay, I'll work in the mornings, walk all day, work in the evening. Same schedule, but instead of going back home to Tokyo, I'll just find hotels along the way. And so exactly a year ago today, April 16th, I flew down to Kagoshima to start my journey. Woke up April 17th, very early. April 16th, I had to take airplane to Kagoshima, bus to Kanoya, and then I had to take a taxi from Kanoya to Minami Osumi. And at that time, I booked a taxi for the next morning at 6 a.m. I wanted, because I said, how early can you do it? And he said, 6 a.m. is when we open. I said, okay, cool. 6 a.m. at the hotel, take me down to the bottom. 6 a.m. rolls around, taxi driver's not here at the hotel, business hotel Orbis. And so I call the guy, he says, I'm so sorry, I didn't think you were going to wake up. And I said, that's fine, I'm waiting. So he picks me up around 6:30. We drive down to the bottom. I have 3 liters of water, some Calorie Mates, and beef jerky. And he says, are you sure you want me to just drop you off here? And I said, yeah, that's fine. We're good. We're good to go. Thank you very much. Here's the money. See you later. And he really double-checked for a while. He's like, are you really, really sure? Like, this is kind of crazy. You could get hurt. And I was like, no, that's fine. We're good. Thank you. So he dropped me off at the observation, or the tourist center. And I walked down to the observation deck, which is about 1 to 1.5 kilometers, back up, and I got the first little, I got this. This marks the beginning of our journey. Nihon Hondo, April 17th, 2024. I actually got there so early I had to wait. I had to wait for them to open, which is one reason why we ended up getting into the hotel so very late. So I was off. April 17th, 2024, started my walk across Japan from the bottom, southernmost point of Honda, the 4 main islands, excluding Okinawa. Okay, we're gonna take a little break. No joke, for a 2 to 3 minute video, I'm used to working with 60 plus minutes of footage. That's the difference between Dogen and I. I am far less of a perfectionist than my image of him. Alright, so where was I? April 17th. So during this trip, I realized originally I wanted to have a very detailed 25 kilometers every day. But April 17th, we started at the bottom, and turned out we ended up having to walk nearly 40 kilometers. Once included the going out to the observation deck and back and walking around, getting some footage and videos and things like that. And pretty brutal, considering I hadn't done even a 30 kilometer walk. Sorry, I hadn't done a 30 kilometer walk up to that point since the trip in November. I had taken off walking completely December, January, February, March. I started doing a couple like 15, 20,000 step days, so 12 to 15 kilometers, and I thought, all right, I'm good to go. Let's go. Let's hit the road. I filed my U.S. taxes, and then I came down. That's exactly what it was. I finished my tax filings, bought a ticket, flew down to Kagoshima. I wanted to have an adventure, but I realized very quickly I just cooked myself the first day. Just completely ruined my legs, got some blisters. I was wearing a different pair of shoes, and I was the only guest at the hotel that night. So I was calling because I was so late. I had estimated Google time. I didn't estimate any other time. And so I kept calling the hotel, hey, I'm sorry, I'll be there at this time, I'll be there at this time. She said, that's okay. Why don't you stay? I want to support your trip. And so I finally get to the hotel around 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. actually. It had been raining, and one of the reasons that, that was the closest hotel. The hotels down at the bottom were not open, or they were completely booked, one of the two. And then there was a town that had a place, but then they said they stopped doing the Minshuku part, the inn part, during COVID. So again, this is still relatively recently after COVID, and I thought, oh, well, okay, this is the only hotel I could have. So the hotel I get there, I have dinner, and the owner asked me, well, where are you going to stay tomorrow? I said, I have no idea. I don't really want to walk that much. There's a place up the road about 5-6 kilometers, and I'll probably stay there because I want to move. I don't want to stay in the same spot. I want to move. And at that time, the owner's husband comes in, and he says, I've got a friend up that way. It's about 9 kilometers. Let me give him a call. I said, no. And he said, no, it's too late. I'm giving you a call. So I get handed over the phone, and the gentleman's K-san, we'll just call him K. And he says, the first thing, he said, you're Jason, right? Yes, sir. And he said, you like shochu? And I said, yeah, a bit, but I have work tonight. And he said, okay, 1 cup. And I said, okay, that's fine. I'll have 1 cup. He said, what time will you be here? And I said, well, it really depends on walking. I said, it's 10 kilometers. It should take me 3 hours, but if I take some footage or videos or whatever, I'll it might be a little bit longer. Well, funnily enough, whenever I was walking, I was streaming this trip, and I had a stream phone. It was in my pocket. I was pulling it out, and as I was leaving town, I pulled it out, and it fell into the rain gutter. Now, the rain gutters here in most of Japan are these heavy concrete blocks with little slits in them to let rain go through. Very heavy. I mean, it's literally like threading the needle fell in there, and I thought, this is absolutely insane. The blocks weigh quite a lot. Probably, how heavy was it when I picked it up? Eventually I had to ask for help. There was a sake shop, there was an alcohol shop nearby. I went and asked for help because I couldn't lift it by myself. They had packed dirt in, and then the vegetable shop gentleman came and helped me too. We eventually got it unhooked, and I gave him my business card. He emailed me later. He said, hey, is everything okay? I said, thank you very much. It worked out. But what should have been like a 3-hour walk turned into like a 5-6 hour day very easily. So I get into the place very late, and I felt bad about that because I was busy and I couldn't call him, and it made me realize though that I can plan 25 kilometers every day, I can plan hotels or whatever, but if I really want to have a trip, I need to make sure to experience it as it is. And this gentleman opening his house to me as like a homestay, same thing. I would have never, I didn't even picture that in my mind when I first took this trip. So I thought, okay, to maximize this trip, I'm just going to take it day by day. Hope for the best. Book hotels that day, just in case someone does offer me something that day. But book hotels around lunchtime, so by 3, 4 o'clock I can get into a room, prep for work that night. Okay. That lady must have seen some things to be that nonplussed. Which lady? The owner? She was pretty cool. Hagi-san. Her husband was the G though. He like heard me talking to his wife because she kept giving me food in the morning. She's like, well, you're gonna need food to like, you know, prep for your trip. And she just kept giving me stuff. And then so finally I was like eating oranges, talking to her, and then he just like makes a call. Oh, the lady at Soya? Yeah. Definitely. Well, more people have done it than I thought. Someone else is telling me about it too, that there's a few people that have done it. I might have to bust out one of the 49%. What's up, Polydactyl? Alright, let's try this again. So whenever I decided to take this trip, I realized I am not a big YouTuber. I didn't have a big budget. I was just traveling. I had done the live streaming thing during the Tokaido trip during the summer before, but I didn't really have, I don't have an editor. I don't have money to take care of those things. And so I thought, okay, how can I do this? It's all by myself. This is something that only I did. I handled logistics. I handled any of the filming. What little happened, all of that was me. I did have some help for the Instagram shorts, Instagram reels, whatever those are called, YouTube shorts. But all of the logistics of the travel, all the funding was, I had planned it on my own. Toward the end of the trip, I was very thankful that some members of the stream community did help support it. But during most of the trip, it was completely me. And again, even the generous support only accounted for a small portion. So, in the larger scheme of accounting. And so, I thought about this. I thought, okay, well, do I make content of things every day? Do I record it? That's why I'm talking about it now, a year later, because I didn't really have a vision of what to say or how to say it, because I was not, and still am not, a content creator. I like streaming. I love streaming. I love interacting with people, but how do I direct? How do I tell a story in 15 minutes versus yapping for 15 hours? So that's part of the reason why I'm starting to talk about it now, a year later, 6 months after finishing, a year after starting, because now I feel I've still traveled more throughout Japan, and we're traveling more coming up soon, but now I have kind of a better idea of what I want to say about the trip. It took me a while to kind of digest. Even Mr. Booth, it took him several years to get this book published. So I guess in one way, it just takes time to kind of digest thoughts and boil them down to, this is what I would like to talk about, this is what I would like to highlight. I don't know if I like that part last much. I think I'm going to do one more take of a different. I'm going to phrase it differently this time, and we're going to get cooked. We're going to get sunburnt out here. Grab some. lot of extra information. That's fine. I'm not too worried about it. Extra information is going to happen, and honestly, that's kind of me. I don't want it to cut out, like, I don't want things to be super edited. I think for better or worse, people are going to get the yap, and I'm sure I'll hear about it in the comments, so I'll just have to deal with that later. What's up, Riku? Hello, Skytree. A lot of people ask me, Sensei Martian, how did you get started in streaming, content creation, whatever you want to call this? And funnily enough, it's two people from the internet, completely different sides. First off, we have Lyle Forever, the therapy gecko, who is a gecko on the internet. He talks to people on the phone. And on the other side, we have David Bull, who has been making woodblock prints in Japan for around 40 years. Both of these people either directly or indirectly inspired me to get involved in streaming. Lyle directly inspired me. I had the opportunity to be on his stream. He was IRL streaming in Japan a couple years ago, and I knew he was here for a live show. I didn't know he was going to be streaming, so I messaged him, "Hi, can't come to the live show, can I get a picture?" And he said, "Sure, come on in, you got to do an interview." Most of his interviews run 5-10 minutes, and so I thought, okay, 5-10 minutes, be on camera, get my picture, get out of there. Well, about an hour and a half later, still on his stream. We wrap up. After the stream, he takes off the hood, the mask, and I get to meet the human behind the costume. And for me, I had always, I'd worked backstage in the U.S. I met a lot of famous people, but seeing someone who is actually human, around my age, and has done this very cool thing was a kind of a turning point. I'd always put creators and people up, not necessarily on a pedestal, but like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not good enough at storytelling, or I'm not interesting enough, or whatever my own self-doubts were. But here was this guy who was a guy. On the other end was David Bull, very polished, been on TV, has been streaming for years, consistent schedule, and I was watching him, and he's very much like almost like a radio broadcaster or something. He's good at telling information, sharing information, warm voice, and soothing, whatever, many accolades about that. But here's this gentleman, I thought, wow, I like this style. I started watching him, and in that process, someone in his chat mentioned this book, The Roads to Sata, a 2,000-mile walk through Japan by the late Alan Booth. And initially, I thought, okay, I'll pick it up on a whim, read it, see what it's all about. And about a third of the way through the book, Mr. Booth is talking to an innkeeper, and the innkeeper asks, can you use chopsticks? Do you like sushi? And he responds, of course I can. I've been here, I'm 30 years old. I've been here over 7 years. Most of my adult life I've spent in Japan. Yes, I can eat sushi. Yes, I can use chopsticks. Yes, I can drink shochu or whatever. Of course I can do these things. And around that time, I was 30 at that time. When I read that book, I was about to turn 30. And I thought, here's another person who sold tons and tons of books. He is also just, at the time, 30-year-old guy. Granted, Mr. Booth did this in 1977. Here I was at the time in 2023 thinking, it's not possible to do this. There's no way I could possibly do this. But it did kind of inspire me to start walking. A combination of Lyle's IRL stream combined with this idea of walking across Japan. Again, I thought, no, too much money, too much time, whatever. Well, during that summer, so I read this book March 2023. During the summer of 2023, I was walking a lot. Every day in Tokyo, streaming outside, just getting my steps in. And steps went from 10,000 to 15,000, 15,000 to 20, 20 plus. And I thought, what if I just pick a direction, walk that direction, instead of always coming back to my house in Tokyo? What if I just pick a direction and go? And then I realized the old Tokaido route, trading route from Tokyo to Kyoto would be a pretty good test. It'd be about a month, but 25 kilometers a day, 20 days. So really, I was shooting for about 3 weeks, but it took a little bit longer than that because certain days there's not hotels every 25 kilometers. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 30. So you want to chop up days where maybe it's a 10 kilometer day, then the next day is a 20, and the day after that might be a 30 because there is nothing in between. But I thought, okay, what if I just pick a direction and go? And that was my first experience through hiking. I didn't book hotels in advance. I booked the hotels the night before or the day off, usually. There were a couple of times on weekends you had to book a couple days out, but by that time I knew, okay, I'll be at this point at this time. That trip went reasonably well. Took 26 days to get from Tokyo to Kyoto, but we did it. I did get injured, and because of that injury, I finished November 26th. Took from November 26th off walking completely until March 2024, almost. Walking to the supermarket and stuff. As far as 10,000 plus steps days, none during that time. Then around March, I started feeling a little bit better because I had torn a leg muscle in my lower right leg. Felt better. I'd stayed off it for 3-4 months and started to kind of warm up to walks again. Had a couple of 20,000 step walks and I thought, okay, ready to go do another trip. So I filed my taxes in Japan, filed my taxes in America, bought a ticket, landed in Kagoshima April 16th, 2023. Landed in Kagoshima, took a bus to Kanoya, and then took a taxi from Kanoya to Minami Osumi. From Minami Osumi, I then booked a taxi to take me down to the bottom. There were no buses. Buses don't allow you to do a one-way thing. They don't allow that. And so I had to take a taxi, and even the taxi driver was very reluctant to drop me off at the bottom with just my backpack. And I had 2 or 3 liters of water, some calorie mates, and some jerky. But he was very, very, very hesitant. He said, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I said, "That's okay. Good to go." So 6:30, 7 a.m. we get to the bottom. 6:30 he picks us up. He was supposed to pick me up at 6. Gets here 6:30. 7 a.m. we're at the bottom. And nothing's open. The tourist information desk is not open yet. And so I walk down to the observation deck, and it's just me. No one's down there. Super quiet. You can hear some boats way off in the distance, but just quiet. And that first day, I was hoping to stream it. There's no signal down there. So I ended up I got a little bit of a stream right at the bottom because there was some signal there, but throughout the route up until the first town, there was virtually no signal. And, my image of vending machines or my image of supermarkets or anything like that, I really thought, okay, I packed what I thought was enough water, but there wasn't a vending machine for the first 15 kilometers. So that ended up being a very, very long day. I ended up walking from Satamisaki all the way up to Minami Osumi, which on Google says about 33, 34 kilometers. But if you factor in going through the observation deck, coming back, taking an alternate way which has less elevation, the day ended up being pretty close to 40 kilometers all said and done. Not what I expected. And because of that, I ended up being super, super exhausted to the point where I was even thinking about, just to myself, I was thinking I could quit this. I could just say, fuck this, go back to Tokyo and try again some other time. But that didn't happen. Hey everybody, sorry about that. Sorry. Strong bugs, hello. I'm recording for YouTube as well. So I'm trying something new. Thank you very much for the raid. Richie the 13th, Alien Wizard Surreal. Hayes Plaza, hello, hello. I'll get you a shout out. It's crazy, like a full 8 hours. Oh, thanks, Tarn. Well, I walked for 6 months, so yeah. Actually, it took longer than that. All in all, I got to the bottom around 7 a.m. I got to the hotel at like 8:30 p.m. Very, very incredibly long. How's everyone doing? Well, another thing too is I was trying to get shots. I had to take breaks. Like, you can't take, no one just walks 8 hours without taking breaks. I mean, I eventually got to the point where I could do. The problem is if you're walking 8 hours straight, then without breaks, then the next day you're not gonna be able to walk at all. So you have to like really, really kind of plan these things out. So I'll be checking chat whenever I'm not recording. Every about 10 minutes, I'll be checking chat, give or take. Give up after 4 hours. It really depends on what kind of your goal is in mind. Because that's a big thing. Goal, like having a plan or having a purpose to get to the next stop. Skytree is between two rivers. Yeah, it's between the Arakawa and the Sumida rivers. If anyone has any questions for me, they ever had to give in? No, never. On that trip, I never took any public transport that I didn't have to. Like the ferry from Oma to Hokkaido, there was no choice, or from Aomori to Hokkaido, there was no choice. But no, that day was always that trip. I always walked. The first walking trip, I did take a bus 5 kilometers and a train the next day 5 kilometers, but I had a heavy injury. But I'm very proud to say that the big walk across Japan, I took no transport to advance my trip, besides the ferry from Aomori to Hokkaido. Shit, that was still recording. I'm gonna have to cut that. That sucks. So a lot of people are asking, why make YouTube videos now? It happened 6 months ago, started a year ago. And the honest answer is time. I didn't really know how to talk about such a large trip. At the time, I was so busy during the trip. It was a one-man show. I did all the bookings, I did all the lodging, I did all of the kind of, arranging of schedules. I was working full-time. It was a lot. It was way more than I thought. I did complete the trip, but I didn't get to really talk about it because I didn't have time to do that. Now I kind of have a direction of where I want to go with the story and what I want to highlight, where I want to highlight those types of things. So thank you very much for joining this, and yeah, I'll probably, I'm not a professional YouTuber. It's just me and a camera and a microphone, but I will do my best. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions that can maybe help direct your interests. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Love everybody. Drink some water. See you soon. Phenomenal, 100% achievement. Thank you. Yeah, no, for that trip I was very, very, very strict on that. There was one night early on, he checked Google Maps. Yeah, that was the only time, but again, for advancing my trip. So what happened that day, I walked to a hotel that had closed, yeah, like 2 or 3 days earlier. And I got to a bus stop, ended stream at the bus stop, took the bus backwards, and then the next morning took the bus back to the bus stop. Because in my eyes, it was the same as staying at that hotel. It would have been no different. That was the only time I took public transport. But that wasn't to advance my trip. That was to backtrack and get back to where the, like, if I did a smooth cut of when the camera starts and stops, it's like I never left. So yeah. So from footsteps to footsteps, I never advanced on my trip without that. There was also one day in Echizen when we were driven around, but we were at the same hotel for 2 or 3 nights. The town director wanted to show me around town, and he wanted to take me all across town. So like I rode in a car that day, but again, it wasn't progressing the trip. It was just because it would have been so rude to be like, oh no, thanks for wanting to show me around town, but we got to walk it, and it's not possible. That's very lucky booking. Well, no, it was literally they had a Google review like 4 days before I got there, and they closed like 2 or 3 days. Like I got there May 2nd, they closed April 30th. Like they shut down, out of business. Not like, no, like there was a sign on the outside. We have it in the stream. There was a sign on the outside saying they closed like April 30th. It's so dumb. Yeah. That was when we were leaving Nobeoka. Nobeoka going up to Ume Camp. Not only, oh, that's the thing. Well, that's Taran is 100% right there. Everything I got to do the first time I went to that town, everything I got to do there was because of Dave Bull, and so I was like a guest of a friend's. Now, after I went there, I made my own relationships, and now when I go back, I just contact them directly. You know, we've got a direct line. But at the time, yes, I was there. Dave Bull had stuck his neck out for me, messaged some people, and they were very kind to help out with that. So I was definitely not wanting to sour that for Dave or for anyone else. I think we'll do one more take. Paper-making village, that inevitable? What? What's inevitable? Asking for help? Perhaps? So I realize that I have been posting shorts or posting Instagram reels and, you know, posting a couple videos, but I have never given a proper self-introduction. So my name is Sensei Martian. I've been living in Japan for over 9 years, and you know, my claims to fame are walking tip to tip from Cape Sata to Cape Soya and walking the old Tokaido route. Now a lot of people ask, how did I get to Japan? And that's, you know, a valid question. I flew here. My arms were pretty tired, but about 9 years ago, I bought a one-way ticket to Japan and came here without anything lined up. No job lined up, no apartment, no friends, no SIM card. I mean, nothing. I had no plans. I had about $2,000 in cash, $2,000, and $500 credit card limit. Whenever I wanted to originally travel, I remember talking to my mom and asking her if she had any regrets when she was, younger. And she said, I really wish I traveled more. So I said, okay, cool. I'm gonna buy a one-way ticket and I'm gonna head to Asia. Now, originally the goal was to kind of hop throughout and perhaps end up in Thailand, teach English, play online poker. Online poker had a big community there, lots of like online grinders and stuff over in that community. And then I love scuba diving, so I thought, okay, teach English, earn a little bit of money playing poker, scuba dive. It sounded like the dream. But when I came to Japan, I realized very quickly I don't have enough money to do any of that. And the first, a little bit whenever I stayed in Japan, I stayed at a guest house, and they said, yeah, you can stay here as a tourist, but you have to pay first month's rent deposit. And it didn't even hit me at the time how much that would affect things. And so whenever I paid that, my $2,000 quickly went to about $1,100. At the time, the yen was around 110 to 1, and so I thought, oh, I don't have money. I don't want to ask my mom for help. I don't come from a wealthy family, but she would have probably helped me back. But I would have owed her, and I didn't want to be in that position. So I thought, okay, I will apply for jobs over here, get a job over here, and just see what happens. See what I can make of myself, where nobody knows who I am, and just see. And so that was 9 years ago, and I started teaching Kodomo Eikaiwa, kids English, children's English. Around about a few months after that, I had networked. I was able to start teaching at the government. I had applied for a job. It was like 1 hour a week. No one really wanted it, but I thought, that sounds cool. So I started teaching classes at the Ministry of Finance at Zaimsho, and I did so well with that one class that they offered me 5 classes. So I was teaching Monday to Friday in the mornings at Zaimsho and working at Kodomo Eikaiwa Tuesdays to Saturdays for about, let's see, that was in October. So Kodomo Eikaiwa was for a year, government was also for about a year, but the schedules were staggered. Both of those contracts ended up ending around the same time. Kodomo Eikaiwa finished in April, and then the government one ended in June, end of May. And I thought, okay, I like teaching English, I like helping people, but I really want more autonomy. I didn't want to just teach from a book. I wanted to help people, really actually level up. And so I applied for a one-on-one online coaching situation, and that worked out well. I worked with them for quite some time, and recently have left that company. But during that time, I realized I really, really enjoyed it. I kind of had a self-struggle, self-fight of, I don't want to teach English. But that wasn't true. There's a stigma to teaching English, and I thought, well, I'm good at it, I enjoy it, I make a livable wage, I'm just going to keep doing that. So that's what I've done, and I really, really, really enjoy it. So that's the backstory. As far as content, as I mentioned before, I didn't really have an interest in becoming a YouTuber or a live streamer or anything like that until I met 2 individuals on opposite ends of the internet. One end, Lyle Forever, you may know him as a Therapy Gecko, and on the other end, David Bull, Japanese printmaking. He's been making woodblock prints for over 40 years. Okay. Dave Bull is inevitable? Really leaves an impression. There we go. You guys are killing it with the puns today. Now, these two gentlemen, Lyle and Dave Bull, they both inspired me either directly or indirectly to start streaming or become the streamer that I currently am. Directly, Lyle. Without Therapy Gecko, there is no Sensei Martian, plain and simple. I would have never gained the confidence to start streaming, and not even confidence, maybe just acceptance of, you know, everyone's a guy. Even a very famous lizard on the internet, also a guy. Same with Dave Bull, also a guy. And so meeting both of these individuals allowed me to realize, hey, I'm a guy too. Maybe I can, you know, share my stories. And by watching Dave Bull, I was actually introduced to the whole reason that I walked across Japan. This book here, The Roads to Sato, by the late Alan Booth, a 2,000-mile walk through Japan. Now, Mr. Booth walked across Japan in 1977, and I was reading it in 2023. So what's the connection? 50 years later, what's going on? And the big thing was that he and I were the same age. He wrote it when he did this trip when he was 30. I was 30 reading it, and I thought, that's really cool, but I can't do that. There's no way I can go walk across Japan. And because of that, I kind of wrote it off as like that kind of pipe dream. You know, I'm not a travel influencer. I'm just a guy. And so during the summer, I was walking a lot. I was walking 10, 20,000. So trying to get somewhat in shape, trying to get fit, so to speak. And during that time, I was steps were increasing. I thought, okay, what if I just picked the direction, went that direction, and that was the trip. So that was the first project, November 2023. I walked Tokyo to Kyoto, around a little bit over 500 kilometers in 26 days. I injured myself, and so at the end of that trip, I finished November 26th, came back to Tokyo, and I thought, okay, I'm torn muscle or something in my leg, and went to the doctor, and he said, don't walk, dummy, like you push too much. And so I took the next few months off. I started walking again. Well, I mean, I was walking to the stores and stuff, but walking again consistently in March 2024. Just around Tokyo again, streaming a little bit. And I realized, okay, I crunched the numbers. I had saved during COVID. I had enough money to take the big trip. I was able to do the Tokaido 26 days. That was kind of a test. Am I able to keep up? Am I able to do laundry? Am I able to balance my work schedule? And so I thought, okay, now or never. I'm only getting older. I'm not in shape. At the time, I started that journey at 134 kilograms, like 290 something pounds. And I thought, well, I can't wait to get in shape. I can't wait. I don't have time. It's got to be now. So I filed my taxes in Japan, filed my taxes in the US, bought a ticket. April 16th, I fly down to Kagoshima, and that starts the journey. I think we're done for today. I think we're done recording for today. I'm going to go back home and watch all this and grumble about it, and I'll probably wake up tomorrow morning and go out and record some more. Hopefully I get something workable from it. Dave does pretty well in business, but it's like, he is pretty much printing money. Jealous of the amount of B-roll available for you to work with? Well, you know, I'm very curious. Here, let me pack stuff up. I am curious. I'm sure I'll get your notes. And I'm very curious. Those knucklehead. No. I'm. Ooh, that's bad. No, I meant like. He does very well. His business does very well. It is essentially printing money. But again, due to recent developments, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to maintain going forward. But no, I'm very curious because I imagine Dogen and I. Actually, I'm sure compared to a lot of the creators, I am going to have much different takes, or a much different like recording style. I don't know about much different, but I think one of my strengths is kind of freestyling rather, not freeballing. Freeballing is something very different. I will say I think I'm generally happy with what I recorded today. Again, it's gonna be not great. Let me rephrase it. It's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be what I want it to be, but I have to make something out of it regardless. Because otherwise I will just keep passing this thing back and forth until Kingdom Come. And I'll be Dave's age before I start talking about this trip I did in my 30s. So especially like, you know, I think part of it is I want it to be perfect. I want to share all these cool things, but I'm just gonna get better with time. Age like wine, you know. Save that for the next walk? Save what for the next walk? Huh? Did I forget to take this on? I want a slightly bigger backpack, I think, for day-to-day streams. This is the heavy-duty tripod. I just do that with sunglasses too. Hopefully we can get some good screenshots from that. Alright. As promised, we're going to go find a bathroom. And then we're going to go get that pastrami sandwich. Let's go. Okay, cool. I think out of all those takes, I'll find at least one of those that I can somewhat make what I want. Just north of you. Pull-up bars? Oh, I'm not doing any pull-ups. Bathroom? We're gonna go down south because the sandwich shop is down by Dave's. The sandwich shop is approximately 2 or 3 blocks south of Dave's. It's right at the corner of not Tanuki Dori. Tanuki Dori is only for like 2 or 3 blocks. It's at the corner of not Tanuki Dori, but kind of Tanuki Dori, and Koen Dori. Yeah, I'm very curious, JP, how like, because I'm sure you'll watch the videos and you'll be like, ah, man, Jason, what a poor cut, what a poor edit. But that's another thing that I'm trying to think about. Like, I suppose I should watch Chris's videos for homework, see how he does things. Again, I've not watched any of his videos, so I did watch one of Connor's videos. I think Connor was like a host or something for a day. Phone. Oh, hold on, that reminds me, I need to make sure that I have my from each of my takes. So I'm curious if I can just get away with one. I'd like to get away with just one take, 1 or 2 takes. Okay, headphones, SIM cards, or what's it called? SIM cards. SD. Alrighty. Ramp. Getting things done on a single take is so Frank Sinatra. Is that a real thing? Is that something Frank did? Live up the videos. I do agree. Cuts. I do need cuts. What I mean is, I would appreciate if the audio kind of was able to be one take, because syncing multiple audios with my current skill is going to be less than ideal. Oh, you know what? Boxwell's right. I should probably just use that bathroom. That's right. We're going to roll the dice. Hopefully there's still one down this way. Oh, there's one public toilet. Worst case scenario, we just go to Moko Hong Kong. Moko Hong Kong's got a toilet. None of the staff are going to tell me no. Is that a actually, that would be kind of weird. I don't want to do that. I take that back. Because when Dave comes in Friday, the staff will be like, yeah, Jason came in and like used the bathroom and left. And then Dave would like roast me about it. Especially because there's quite a few public bathrooms in Asakusa. Now Dave would do so. Oh, I bet he would lightly. Again, Dave and I are friends. Needling is the proof of a real friendship. If you don't sometimes make jokes about your friends or to your friends, it's I'm not saying that's not a friendship, but for guys I think that's kind of a sign of friendship. Not all guys, of course, but and again, I'm not talking about like full-blown roasts, like make you rethink your life. No, that's not what I'm talking about at all. That's not like bro humor. That's like bullying, which is a bit different. Soul Slick, thanks for coming in. He even told the bad boy prank by the door after 5. I don't know what you're talking about. Bad boy prank? I will say, I need to go through, I need to, normally I don't take sound bites of people like talking about me, but Dave gave me a very glowing compliment on last Monday's stream. This Monday's stream? Last Monday's. Had to have been last Monday's. It's not even like a direct compliment either. It's like kind of a, they're talking about, you know, measuring steps, counting steps. The homeless folks, there's a lot of them. If we walked further north, there'd be a lot of them. They've kicked them out of the main areas, but yeah, they've whenever we did the Sumida walk last year, we didn't quite finish it. I think we stopped around Kuramai, Asakusabashi. I don't remember. We gave up because I was hurting. When was that? That was either right before or right after the walk trip. Where is this lavatory? Warmed up too much. Well, now that there's more people walking, honestly, probably what it is, more people walking, so more people complaining, so they push them further up north. Because there's a huge chunk, once you get from like, what is it, Minami Senju? A little bit below Minami Senju, but Minami Senju north on the Sumida. All right, there's a toilet right there. We're gonna BRB.
You know, wow, this would be the thing that I could use to, I can't say fulfill myself, but to wrap together those things I've been thinking about. Dave, you got to get
like
going on something. And there it was, the project was there. And that's 1989. So by now, I'm born in 51, 61, 71, 81. I'm now 38. And yeah, feeling that, okay, it's time to get serious with something.
About something. Whenever, you know, we've talked at length about whenever you first started those prints, you mailed out the flyers, the larger flyers and stuff. After the prints, after you made 100, obviously that's a huge accomplishment, a huge undertaking. How did you shift from, I guess even partially during the prints, how did you shift from this, when you went all in on the prints, when did you know this is the rest of my life type of thing? I mean, when did...
Has that been decided yet? Wait. No. Come on. It was, again, it was a big thing, something that I could really take on a challenge that I wasn't sure I'd be able to do. You know, the man in the mirror, you're chicken. No, it's okay. We'll do something. You're chicken shit.
Yeah.
And that's the, I couldn't evade the guy in the mirror talking to me that. So I didn't know I was going to do the rest of my life. I still don't know. It was just, here is something big. Your clock is running out. You got 2 kids. You got to feed them. Dave, like I said, poop or get off the pot. Poop isn't the word we use, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
So that was it. Grab it. There's no life work here involved. At the end of the thing, that 10-year project, I heard this word every day. People would come to the exhibition, the media's there, NHK, blah, 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 blah. And it was the most single popular comment. How does it feel to have accomplished your life work?
Down in Kuromai? Yeah. Well, Kuromai is south enough that probably most cops don't really care. A little bit toward Azumabashi, and then the next couple couple bridges, and then down toward, not quite Minami Senju. They'll try to push a lot of the homeless out until winter seasons, and they don't care because, you know, certain blossoms sprung. I'm gonna go this way. That bathroom we just went to was brand new. I have not peed in that bathroom before. It was the first time. They used to have smaller bathrooms. We're going to take the back streets. We don't want to take, I mean, we'll take the side streets. We don't want to take the main street. Oh, you know what I just said? I don't want to do something. Honestly, these are gonna probably be just as busy. If not busier. What is today, Wednesday? Who's gonna be at the shop today? Ken? Okay, I've got everything covered. I like this part of town, but you're never going to want to buy anything in this part of town. It's far too crowded, far too touristy. Easily pay double. I will say, occasionally you can find some good good deals on postcards. #1 apple pie in the world. Starbucks? Well, we've also seen 2 or 3 Starbucks. Hold on, I gotta take a picture of this. Get one? I'm good. Our eyes are set on a bigger prize.
That's the best one.
Like I said, my little promise to myself was if I recorded enough to get 1 to 2 videos, or at least 1 to 2 concepts. Maybe it's 1 long video. But if I can talk about a couple different things, I'm gonna spring for that pastrami sandwich. Apple pie, peach pie, or pineapple pie? There's only one. Apple pie, peach cobbler, pineapple by itself. Peach pie? On what planet? Actually, apple cobbler is pretty good too, but. Pineapple upside down cake. Okay. Wild traffic is coming. Pastrami sandwich is quite expensive though. Okay, we get to take a left up here. Oh, also, that reminds me, we still haven't heard back from that podcast we applied for. And we still haven't heard from the raid train. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and just assume that those things aren't happening. That's fine. We weren't really, the podcast was kind of a shot in the dark anyway. I don't really think, I really thought I was going to get on that. Yes, I think peach pie, or maybe it's just desserts in general. This is allegedly where the sandwich shop is. They said they have takeout. With the launch of our takeout service, we're creating a new sign. Oh, they're not open. What? What is today? Closed Wednesday and Thursday. Ain't that some shit? Huh. Well, they don't even have the hour. Okay, to get the hours, I had to go to their Uber Eats, and then I had to click something else, and I had to click something else. That's some nonsense. It's all right. Pastrami sandwich is just not in the cards for me. Friday stream, actually, Friday or Saturday stream lined up. But it doesn't look like, it says they do takeout on their Instagram, but it doesn't look like they actually allow takeout. There is a cell phone listed though, so I'll just call them on Friday or Saturday. Honestly, like I said, I think what I'd like to do Saturday, check the hours Saturday, get a sandwich, eat half of it, and then give half to Dave and see, because Dave I think is a little bit of a foodie. He has oh, you know what, we should definitely go by the shop and say hi though. See who's there. At least give him a wave from the door. Dave's not here today. Wednesdays he's going out to Ome, or he's already out at Ome. Damn, I missed out on Burger King. I don't want to walk all the way across town again just for Burger King. All the Japanese restaurants in this area are like quite overpriced. That is a film crew, double cameras. Double cameras, very expensive looking cameras. He might be printing this week. Oh, he's printing every day, yeah. But he's not in Tokyo. Or, I mean, he's in West Tokyo. He's not in Asakusa. Usually. I always laugh at this shirt. Death of Junk Food. It's got Ronald McDonald carrying a visibly dead Colonel Sanders. Who's here today? Best advice not to eat. Yeah, the only thing we do eat consistently is the only thing we consistently eat in Asakusa is Mr. Donut. Just gonna kind of peep in and see who's here. I think it's Maria and could be beef. Yeah, Dave's not here. Staff looks pretty busy too. So we'll keep walking around. Could get Mr. Donut for dinner. See Baron sign? Yeah, we were there. All right, well, we're gonna end up walking to Idia, I think, Idia station. So we need to go up a street or two and then take a left. Oh, you know what? We could get the rare Dom Dom burger. There's only one left in Tokyo. It's out here at Asakusa. Domu Domu Bahaga. Maple Pizza did cross my mind. Maple Pizza did cross my mind, but I feel as much as I love Maple Pizza, which I sure do, kind of hoping to get something different today. Katsu is not too bad. It's Wednesday. I have one class at 9 o'clock today. Hotel BB Asakusa. At a glance, it looks like Hotel La Basura, which basura is trash in Spanish. I mean, it might just be like, let's get gross on Mr. Donut, but actually what I might end up doing is, there's a donut shop recently in Ebisu. I could take the train, I could take the Hibi line to Ebisu, and then what time is it? It's 4 o'clock. By the time I get down there, it'd be like 5:30. Yeah, we'll see. Outer Pasta, thanks for the follow. I guess if we walk all the way to Ueno, we can get Wendy's. We'll see. I think I'll actually have to re-record the why I took the trip. I need to look through the footage tonight and see if I got... I think tomorrow morning I could maybe go out, stream, record, or record then stream maybe. There's a few things I want to talk about. I remember why I brought the book too, because I wanted to read a specific passage from the book. Honestly, we might have to try this right here. We just want the
I'm really happy that you never got to
はい、すみません。のり塩唐揚げ5個お願いします。
はい、こちら今から全部お時間の
はい、今お願いします。
529円です、これ30円。
はい、ありがとうございます。はい。 What I miss? We are at a karage shop. VOD's gonna be Twitch will get the VOD. We'll mute it.
65番でお待ちのお客様です。手羽先ですね。はい。ありがとうございます。
はい、ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
All right. I think if I go. Okay. Shazam is the song you want now? Yeah, well, that was fine. I didn't need this Shazam anything. Alright. We got Norishio Karage. God damn, that looks good. 5 pieces for $5.29 after tax. That's not too bad. Ancient paintings. Definitely not ancient.
You just said free gift. Free gift?
I have to remember this. Honey, ham, and cheese. Oh yeah. Panzadina. Alright, the first park bench we see, we'll sit down and eat. Hey, look at that. Sometimes you just speak things into existence. If there's no place to sit up here, I'll eat my shoe. So glad I said places to sit and not bench or seat, because it's looking like there's no bench or seat. Oh, there's also single chairs. This is weird. What's over there in the vending machine? There's another park nearby. We might. We might actually cheat. Well, I know there's one. I know there's a park toward Kuramai that's on this side of Asakusa that is. Ah, yes, there it is. Let's see. This is the park I was thinking of. This doesn't look like there's any... No, this isn't the one I'm thinking about either then. There's another one that I'm trying to think of. Okay. Alright, how are we gonna do this? You know what? I'll put this right up here. If I eat on the promenade, the pigeons will be happy. I'm not walking all the way to the promenade though. Pigeons, the promenade will be happy. Okay. Okay, the eyes of CIA. It's a hot take. One of your favorite comments? It smells like someone. Takimasu. Very hot. That's gonna be Itadakimasu. No dipping sauce. Dipping sauce? What? This is not a McDonald's. This is just like a smoking part. Everyone here is just smoking. Been fun running around. Thanks for coming in, JP. What's up, Bob, that I know? Welcome in. Just a giant piece of karaage. Tatewaki. Awesome. I'm eating Norishio karaage. Seaweed, seaweed salt, fried chicken. My Japanese is so long. Mama, no?9年間日本ずっと住んでるから日本語ちょっと大丈夫かな。
Mirá, Juan, con la velocidad que está girando. No te mareás, Juaco. Ay, Juaco, se va a salir. hay juego con tu gorro. Mami, si adivino la hora que me das. Dale, 10 yenes. Son las 5:46. No, estoy más mareado.
Like your hat. Thank you, Hexadecimal. Alright, this is Moi Nai Gomi. Not burnable. This is burnable. That was good. Everyone's smoking in this park. Literally, like there's like 8 or 9 people smoking. Kind of crazy.
Feli, activate. Vamos.
Espera, mami, ¿me limpias mis lentes, por favor? Pero los míos no se ven, mami. El trapito. Pero no.
Actually, let me check something real quick. Cheers, Pocari Sweat. Yeah. We haven't had much Pocari since we've been back from walking trips. Dude, there's no Mr. Donut in Ueno? That's kind of crazy. Alright, let's get in here. And Gusto? Yeah, Gusto was pretty much a Tokaido trip. We didn't have Gusto very much on the big trip. Alright, let's bounce. back was sweating. That's pretty cool. Okay, you got everything. Moirudum. Oh, is this? This is all Moirudum. Okay. This is actually a good bag to keep this. Alright. Let's check the macaroni real quick. But yeah, thanks for coming in here, Tatewaki-san. Thank you, thank you. Ooh. $25,000 in a month for this parking spot. Duck soba. Nice. JP would love that. Duck soba, is it served with quackers? No. Typically no. I think it's this one. If I remember correctly, it's after the big street, which is, this looks like a big street. I love Hotel A. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Always remember, if there's a public bathroom in a Koban, the Mr. Donut's right next to it. I would hate to see the bill. And on that note, actually it's unrelated, but I think we're gonna end. I'm gonna get a couple donuts, take some notes, jot some stuff down. We'll see everyone tomorrow. So we might be in the area. We might go film somewhere else too. We might try to get up early and go film elsewhere. But I actually really like this area. I like the bridges and the rivers and stuff. So thanks for streaming today. No, thank you everyone for hanging out. Sorry we got started so late. We're gonna raid into Timo-san.
I told you the line would get longer.
Maybe, if it lets us. Anyway, all done, huh? Have a good. Yeah. No. It had nothing to do with your joke. I was planning. Originally, I was gonna go to another station, but I was like, you know what? I'm close enough. I haven't had like that karage was the first food I had all day today, so. Then I was like, I want some donuts and coffee. I need to jot some stuff down too. Maybe even play back some of the camera and try to like think about that. All right, go have fun at Timo-san. She's been streaming a lot lately. Oh, she might be on break actually from work. That might be right. Anyway, love everybody. Thank you so much. Drink some water, and I'll see everyone tomorrow. Okay. Take care.